Welcome to the whatever.
The Ride or Die Podcast.
Yeah.
Say it.
The Ride or Die Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, training partner, teacher to the stars, Alan Carter.
Hello there. And the crowd goes wild.
Absolutely, they have to. It's Alan Carter. So how have you been? I know you're moving here at the end of the school year.
Either June or July. Yeah.
Either June or July, huh?
Yep. And I just got back from being in California for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that time was spent with designers who are going to essentially gut most of my house there that I already own and rent, and going to turn it into a place for us to move to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why California?
I moved there in 1980 and worked as a musician, mostly in the Los Angeles area, some in Palm Springs, for 25 years. And whenever I went to Palm Springs, it was like, this is a cool place. I really like this place. And the more I did it, it was like, I want to retire here. It's a nice town, fairly safe. It's in the desert. I can be in LA in a couple hours. And the weather's beautiful and the people are nice. And it's just cool.
Yeah.
Only downside. There's no gym.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me. No place to train.
There is no gym. I've gone out there for a month over Christmas every year for 8 years. And every year I scour the place. And this last time I thought I found a place. I sent him a message and everything. It said, striking classes, MMA gym, yada, yada, yada. I said, great, I found a place. So I put the address in Siri and I come to find out, no. Okay. First off, it was in a town that turned out to be about 45 minutes away each way. All right. So I thought, well, maybe a couple times a week I'll do a striking class. Mm-hmm. But then I couldn't find it. Even Siri couldn't find it.
Oh, no.
And so, and it's the only time Siri hasn't found it. And so I'm driving around. And finally, I look in this strip mall-like thing. And there I see this dim light in between a bail bondsman and a massage parlor. And so it's like, okay, I know I'm probably not going to do this, but for purely sociological reasons, I want to check it out now.
Yeah, just curiosity, right? Yeah.
So I go in there, and it's maybe a space a little bit bigger than your room here.
Okay.
And there's like, 16 guys in it. And no real teaching going on. They're just pounding stuff and each other. I mean, they were throwing shots.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was like, wow. And so the professor, right, I introduced myself, and he said, oh, yeah, you're the guy that sent me the thing online that you wanted to check. I thought you were kidding.
Oh, no.
And I said, well, no, actually, I'm kind of serious, this is what I've done and yada, yada. And he said, well, you can watch if you want, but I would never expect my insurance to cover somebody as old as you.
Really?
And so I said, I appreciate your honesty. And yeah, I'm going to hang out for a little bit. And so I sat there for about 10 minutes and watched these guys. And it was like watching a fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he wasn't really doing any teaching. So I just, okay, this is something I have to give up when I retire. But I've got a great house. I've got great friends in California. I love living there. And I don't ever have to walk or drive in snow again, which is like a real goal for me.
Okay. So how old are you right now?
I will be 68 years old tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Well, happy, early birthday. So what got you into martial arts, though? Like, how old are you when you actually joined the ACA?
I was 55.
55. What got you into wanting to start learning how to throw punches?
I always, when I was a kid, in my hometown, I wanted to be on the wrestling team.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no wrestling team. I thought wrestling was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd see it on like the Olympics when it came up, real wrestling.
Yep.
And then I love professional wrestling.
Yeah, like
I thought it was
WWF, WWE now, I guess it would be.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was like, wrestling's cool, but we don't get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, frankly, when I was being raised as a child, it was a very protective environment.
Okay.
I wasn't even allowed to mow the yard.
So you're just
Because-
pretty restricted on a lot of things, huh?
Yeah. Well, I was already a musician. I started playing in clubs when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. We were breaking every child labor law there was. Okay. And so, well, Alan can't mow the yard because his hand might get under the lawnmower. Like, just because I'm a musician, I'm so stupid that I'm going to put my hand under a running lawnmower. But that was kind of the logic. And my dad was Army and very disciplined. And it was clear that he didn't want me to do any of that stuff. Okay? So then I'm a musician in a town of 2,000 people where most of the time boys don't do music.
Mm-hmm.
Boys do other stuff.
Yeah.
So there was this vision of what I was that wasn't really accurate, which was why I graduated high school a year early, simply because I just wanted to get out.
Right. A little bit of freedom.
And did my first tour of Europe playing when I was 16.
Did you go to Europe by yourself?
Well, I went with a group.
Okay.
With a band.
Okay.
And it was just kind of predestined that I was going to do this other thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, I never thought about it, and I just went to a regular gym, lifted weights, did cardio, yada, yada, yada. And I'd still watch boxing and wrestling and martial arts and stuff when it was on the TV. And I thought, this was really cool. I really like this stuff. It's too bad that I didn't get into this. And so then, I don't remember where it was, but I saw my first underground, because it was underground at that point, MMA fight.
Oh, really?
And it was like out in the woods at some reservation in Southern California. All right. And I remember Mark Coleman was there.
Okay.
And so I watched it and was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is cool.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. How do you learn how to do that? And why am I even thinking about it at this point? Because at that point, I was probably late 40s, early 50s. These were young people,
Yeah.
And I thought, it'd just be cool exercise. But never happened. So then in 2005, I moved here. And I was doing stuff. And then I started to seeing, as I'd been here for several years, I started seeing these gyms. And it was like, I'm gonna check some of it out. So I went to a local Taekwondo gym, and the person held something up and said, about as high as their head, and said, "Well, let me see you kick this." It's like, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, right. At least
It's not going to happen, but here we go. Well, if you can't do that, I don't know how much I can do for you.
Oh, really?
And then I went to another one, and I walked in, and they just kind of said, they just kind of looked, and I could tell inside they were chuckling. It was like, no, this won't work for us. I went to jiu-jitsu place, and I walked in for my free session, was handed a gi, and got out there with a guy who was actually, I wish I could remember his name because he was a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he was walking me through stuff, and we actually had a really good time.
Yeah.
And I got done. But then the guy who ran the place became like this stereotypical used car salesman trying to pressure me into all this stuff. It's like, man, I want to think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, then get out. Okay. Great. And so I thought that things had because because I'd exhausted all the possibilities I'd been able to find.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, this isn't going to happen. And then one day I just said, okay, I'm gonna go online. I'm gonna go online one last time, and I'm gonna see if there's another place I haven't found yet. And if there is, I'm going to check it out. And if it's not, it's a sign from God that I'm not supposed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on, and that day I saw ACA. And I saw Dylan, who was then working with John Collins.
Mm-hmm. John Collins was Muay Thai, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were in this metal shed on Main Street.
Oh, I remember the place.
Yeah.
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 Hole in the wall.
Oh, yeah. And so I went down there, and, I said, I don't know. This has been my experience to this point. And they were both like, well, let's just try.
Mm-hmm.
No harm in trying. And I'm sure, as much as Dylan and John have come to love me and I love them, I'm sure that they thought, okay, this is a month.
Yeah.
He's gonna pay for his first month. He's gonna see what he's into, and he's gonna split. Now, especially now, they'll never say that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was in their minds. It had to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and I did it, and most of the guys were really nice to me. I never had a problem finding a training partner, and it just worked. So I kept going, but I was so bad, and I was so out of shape, and that first summer, man, that place wasn't air conditioned. It was hot outside.
Mm-hmm.
It was hotter inside. I was sweating like a pig. There were days that I drove in, and it was everything. It was everything I needed, everything I could possibly muster to get the courage to get out of the car to go back in.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of those guys are actually like fighters.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm this old guy. I mean, at this point, I'm 55 years old, right? And but the most important part was I was embraced and I was supported. And I was embraced and I was supported the way that I try to embrace and support in my teaching and in my life. And so it was like, okay, this is home.
Yeah.
And so I just kept going and kept going and kept going. And it's just never stopped. I mean, it's one of the great passions in my life.
Yeah.
And I can't, I know without question or pause, it will be the hardest part of leaving.
Oh, okay.
It will be intensely emotional for me the last day that I go to that gym.
And that would be like 13 years about?
It'll be,
13 years.
13 years.
That's crazy. Good for you. And not a lot of people can say going in at that age and just trying something, right? Even young kids are scared to try stuff. And
Right.
you going in there at your age, seeing all these young guys and gals,
Right.
putting their heart into something, and you put yourself at their level.
Think about this. Why is it so easy for babies to learn?
Because they have to.
Exactly. But they haven't been conditioned in a way that they get upset or bugged or feel horrible about themselves trying to fit the square peg in the round hole. They try the square peg. Yeah, it doesn't work. Here's a star. I'm going to try the star.
Mm-hmm.
The star's cool. It doesn't work. Finally, they find it. And then they go, and then they start trying to put something in the star hole.
Yeah.
And they never get bugged about it. As you age, you're conditioned by the people who surround you that when you make mistakes, it's bad. And it's not.
No, I totally agree. It's not.
It's the best thing that can happen to you because you've eliminated a possibility that doesn't work.
Yep.
Okay? But the way people are with themselves, largely because of the way other people treat them,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you make a mistake, oh man, right? And that's me at the gym. I miss something. I miss a combination. I do something wrong. There's something I can't do, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not able to take that child-like quality, that baby-like quality into my learning.
Right? Because children don't have emotions on what they're doing. They're just doing it because they're curious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And some people, the only way they can feel good about themselves is if they're making somebody else feel bad.
Oh, yeah. I know people like that.
And so that gets so much at one level or another into society that it brings a fear to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, I'm a teacher, and I'm supposed to be finding ways for people to move on fearlessly, yet I'm not going to do that. I mean, I have to practice what I preach.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you teach at NDSU for the moment.
I teach at MSUM.
MSUM, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, that's why it'll be so emotional for me. It has made me better at everything I do.
Martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has made me better at everything I do.
Do you think it's because of the discipline aspect of it all?
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
Without question. I think every child should go through the process of doing something like martial arts, and personally, I can't think of anything better than martial arts.
Neither can I. Maybe yoga, but
Yeah.
people say yoga is a martial arts of the mind kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I love yoga. Anything that makes you uncomfortable and struggle is rewarding if you do it the right way.
Exactly. And the struggle becomes less, and there's still goals. I am still going to kick Sidney Ben Simons in the head before I leave. Okay? He knows it's coming. It's a switch kick.
Yeah.
And he knows it's coming. So
That's fine. I owe Ben a couple black eyes.
yeah, I think we all owe Ben something. Well, see, that switch kick comes from we were training something in a clinch, and someone whose name I won't mention kind of picked Ben up and turned him and just started to throw him. And Ben wasn't my partner at the time, but his leg nonetheless came connected with my head.
Oh, no.
And so I took this head kick from Ben, and totally not his fault, really.
Yeah.
But at that point, I became committed.
Committed, yeah.
Yeah, that at some point I'm going to head kick Ben.
Life goal right there.
Exactly. Before I leave. I can't leave until I do it.
That's funny. Okay, so we got this card game. This card game's really fun. Basically ask you pretty serious questions on life, whatnot. I'll pick one from this side, then you'll pick one from this side. And we'll just go back and forth and just kind of go with it.
Okay.
So first question. Okay, if you could never work again, how would you spend your time?
Making sure that the world was better for other people.
Boom. You're a prophet. That is like the most nicest thing someone could actually say.
In fact, I mean, obviously with getting ready to retire,
Yeah.
I've thought about this, if you look inside certain aspects of the arts, let's say symphony orchestras, recording for media, the upper echelon of the music industry, so on and so forth, there's a scarcity of minorities and women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I can do, but if there's something I can do to help change that, I'd like to be able to do it.
Get women more into the musical scene?
Yeah, I mean, you go to the Hollywood Bowl and look at the orchestra. White guys.
Yeah.
Okay. And it breaks down a little bit racially too. Now it's changing some. It has changed some. But, I have young female students that go through a lot of struggles that the male students don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's any organization that works with things of that nature, but if there is, I want to become involved. I believe there's social justice projects that go beyond the arts, dealing with race and gender.
Mm-hmm.
That I can see myself volunteering. I know that I will not go to a regular job.
Yeah.
I've done that. I'm done. But I want to I want to explore ways that I can make it better for other people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about.
I like that. And that's, so what was the question again? Yeah, I'd spend my time in jiu-jitsu. Like, it's something I want to continue on for the rest of my life. Teaching, encouraging, if I could actually, I always told myself, if I'd ever win the lottery, I'd open up a free gym, but you'd have to write an essay of why you want to do jiu-jitsu to get in the gym. Like, people would have to try somewhat to get a free membership.
There was a guy when John and Dylan were running the gym that got kicked out that wanted to come back. And I remember John saying that he was going to have them write an essay just like that, and that if it said one word about fighting rather than the spirituality and all the other stuff with martial arts, that he wasn't going to let him back. That if he couldn't talk about all the real stuff that you should get from martial arts.
Yeah, the stuff you actually get from martial arts.
Yeah, that doesn't just make your body a weapon. It makes your mind and your soul a weapon.
Right? Oh, yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's instead of giving yourself an ego, it's supposed to make you humble.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I get humble every time I walk through those doors.
So do I. All the time.
Okay. So here is... Which friend would you call to help you bury the body, and why?
Probably my buddy Wagon. Me and Wagon go way back. We've had a lot of shenanigans, we'll say, in the years. But hopefully, I never have to bury a body. To be honest, yeah. He's definitely the friend I would call. That he'd probably be like, where I need to be. I wouldn't have to tell him what was going on.
Zach Thumb.
Zach Thumb.
And the story behind this is somebody did a really bad thing, I think, to Zach's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach was contemplating finding the guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, if I get arrested, can I call you to get me out? It's like, anytime, day or night. Here's the number. He told me what happened. It was like, here's the number.
Yeah.
If you need to get out of the country, I'll buy you the ticket.
Oh, there you go. Jeez. Crazy.
Yeah. Zach Thumb. Hey, Zach.
All right. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Yes. Because I was a musician, I was always a night person or a midday person.
Yeah.
But then I started teaching. And then I'd have semesters when I had to teach an 8 o'clock class every day.
8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which meant I'd have to get up 5:30, 6 o'clock to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm a morning person. But I used to be an evening person. And I still like the evenings. The only problem is, like, if I go hang out, go do something and get home late, I have an internal clock and I just get up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't need an alarm. I'm just, boom, I'm there.
Yeah. My alarm goes off at 6 o'clock, but I'm usually up at 5. It don't matter. No matter what time I go to bed, I'm always up at 5.
Wow.
That's just because of the oil field.
Because of the oil field?
Yeah. Especially when I get off work nights and then I have to switch my clock around, my sleep schedule around.
Right.
And it just sucks. So I actually had another job interview. Well, I had a job interview last Monday, and they called me in for a second job interview. And I basically went in there wearing this. I didn't suit up like I did last time.
Right.
And they basically asked them. He asked me what I needed for me to get hired, and I basically told him, 75% of the pay I make now, which is a very big cut in wages for me.
Right.
And he looks at me and goes, I don't know if I can afford you, but I don't know if I can afford not to have you. And it was...
If you look at the numbers in what they're now calling the Great Resignation, people just leaving jobs, quitting, to get great people, you have to start giving them what they want.
Yeah.
And management hasn't always had to do that. And so, it's kind of like the story of Scrooge.
The duck? Scrooge the duck?
No, no. Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, yeah.
The three ghosts.
Yeah.
You know?
I gotcha.
I'm a believer in unions, and the reason I'm a believer in unions is because most managers I've met, 3 ghosts coming to them, telling them what's going to happen if they don't get their stuff together, isn't going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the strength that comes from somebody supporting you as a worker. And I was just watching a 60 Minutes thing as I was eating lunch today about this very thing, and that people aren't going to settle. There are so many jobs and so few people, so few quality people, that they know now that they can get what they want because they can go someplace else and get it. And that hasn't happened to this degree, according to all the data that was being spoken to, hasn't happened to this degree in history. So what he's saying is he realizes that he might have to take a little less so that he can have a person of quality doing your job.
Yep. I hope it pans out. I really do.
That'd be cool.
I would be home every night.
Wow.
You see my kid. I haven't been home every night except for it'll be 12 years. I'll be working on the drilling rigs in February.
No, you need to fix that.
Yep. That's the plan. We'll see.
Okay.
I think you're up.
Wasn't mine the body bag?
Nope. Was it? That was this card, I think.
Oh, okay. What have you learned about love?
Oh. Actually, I think me and Ben had that card too. So that's definitely a personal question. So because I went last year, took a toll on me getting over a relationship. But I would say love is consistency. Did I say that word right?
Consistency.
Consistency. I can't say it. Yes, it's consistency. I can't say it. It's to be. It's a constant, right? Everything has to be, It's a consistency and being a team, right? It's not one does one thing, one does the other thing. It's not a competition of who does more, who does less. It's all about being content of who you're with and being proud of the other person, and there's no room for love with selfish people.
Oh, unquestionably.
Yeah, you can't be selfish
at all.
You have to be consistent. Hey, I said it right.
See?
You can't be selfish. You have to be consistent, and you have to be a team.
Yeah. And there has to be, from my side, an incredible amount of flexibility. And you're not going to be comfortable with someone else beyond the extent to which you're comfortable with yourself.
Ooh, that's true.
All right. And the reason for that is, let's see, this June, my wife and I will celebrate our 34th anniversary. And I really feel that the main reason we're going to be able to celebrate it is that we have our life together and we each have our life separately. I went to Thailand for a month. No one was more in favor of it than she was.
Yeah.
There are things that she likes to do that I really don't want to do. And so she takes her month and goes and does those, or week, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then we have our mutual things that we're together for. And we're able to bring the joy that comes from that flexibility of not... If you lose a part of your life because of each other, it's going to reflect in how you live with each other.
Oh yeah, I like the way you said that.
And so, the greatest thing that Julie has given me is incredible freedom. All right, the same that I've given to her, because we can be flexible. We have come to completely trust each other.
Yeah.
And we know that this is going to happen. We're going to be together. and then Alan's going to go, pretend to be Bruce Lee, and she's gonna go do whatever she does.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back together, and because we can continue those joys, we have a deeper joy with each other.
Yeah. You have two separate lives that make one good relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Good for you. Congratulations. Okay. Would you rather explore space or the ocean?
Space.
Why? Okay, you got to think about this. You can explore space, but it takes forever to get places.
That's true.
The ocean it's a lot smaller, and we only know like 25% of what's going on in the ocean.
That's true. And part of what we know about the ocean is all the trash that's getting dumped in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm becoming an environmentalist too.
That's good. That's good.
So maybe I'll do that when I retire. There are things, I could see getting in like a submarine and seeing if there are mermaids.
Oh, there are.
Are there?
They're out there.
Well, I see them in all the clubs. I am a mermaid.
Yeah, yeah.
Je suis mermaid.
Yeah, women are weird.
Yeah, they haven't thought about what being a mermaid really is.
Right.
If you want to find out what being a mermaid really is, look up Eliza Schlesinger mermaid on YouTube. If you don't know who she is, she's a great comedian. I think she's a hoot. And she does all of this stuff. And she has this whole thing about mermaids, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to check it out. I don't know. I've always been enthralled by the concept of flight, and I was alive to see John Glenn be the first American to go into space.
Oh, right. Wow. Yeah.
And so I've lived through that whole history, and and now I see people, spending too much money to get the chance to do it. It won't happen in my lifetime that someone like myself would be able to go up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be so cool if somebody could. And what if there is something else out there? I guess I'm more interested in what's out there than what's down there.
Yeah. I'm all about space too. I want to colonize Mars. I want to go to Mars, leave planet Earth.
Yeah.
Be on the first mission to Mars and be like a real explorer, right? That's unheard of.
Right.
But NASA just had a picture, and it was of something exploding in space. I don't exactly remember what it was, but they said the amount of oxygen that would allow that explosion, it would fill up like 50 of our solar systems or something like that.
Uh-huh.
It's super interesting. I don't know how they know that. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay. Describe your relationship with your father in one sentence.
In one sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Quality over quantity.
Okay.
That's just because growing up, he was a bar owner. He was not really around. Both my parents weren't around that much because they're small business owners. But they always made time for my basketball games, football games. They did whatever they could they put me and 7 other of my siblings all through Catholic private school. And they just did very well. And they just wanted the best life for us. And whenever they had the opportunity, whenever we had opportunity, they made sure we got it. And I kind of take that with my daughter now. I don't see her that much. So it's quality over quantity. It's like
Right.
the time with her has to be good.
Right. One sentence. The most silently supportive relationship I've ever been a part of.
Oh, interesting. Explain.
My dad was very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
As I get older and older, I'm realizing more and more the extent to which I didn't know him. Okay? And he just, there was a lot of his life that he clearly didn't want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't. And in our house, what Dad said is what goes.
Yeah.
And so if Dad doesn't want to talk, don't talk to Dad. You can talk to him about regular stuff.
Yeah.
But, I was left I was left with very few choices. Yet at the same time, when he came to realize that I had a bit of a gift for music, everything he could do. He sound to the extent that when my sister moved out and got married, her bedroom was downstairs in a corner of the house, and he knew how to build. He was a great builder. And he went down there, completely soundproofed her old bedroom, put our piano in there, had a space for my drums to go in there, had a space for stereo to go in there. And he just said, "Look, I love you. I love what you're doing. I completely support it, and I never want to have to hear you practice again." So here's your room. Knock yourself out, kid.
Oh,
Okay?
that's crazy.
That's the way the relationship was. He was always there whenever I performed, and I knew that he loved me.
Yeah.
I knew he loved me, just to the core of his being. But we never really talked. The deepest conversation we had, when we would talk, it would be on a golf course. And the deepest conversation we had was I really going to go to school and major in music? And he only asked one time. And he just said, you're a bright boy. If you want to go to law school, you could be a great lawyer. You could be a doctor. You could be anything you want. Is this what you truly want? And I said, there's no question. I'm in. This is it.
How old are you when that happened?
We had that conversation when I was 16 because I was going into what would be my last year of high school.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, this is it. And he said, okay. And we never had the conversation again.
Just completely supportive.
Completely.
That's cool. That's actually, you're very lucky.
But silent. Oh, yeah, given the parents of some of the students I have come to school and the way they are worrying about whether their kids are going to have make a living in music, and then I've had to have some serious conversations.
Yep.
With parents, and from time to time I've brought up my relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
As part of that conversation.
I know with my daughter, she loves to draw, so I make sure when she's with me, she draws every day. Like I tell her, I don't care if it's a half hour or hour, you got to doodle something.
Right.
Every day.
She is so cool.
she's a little turd. Like, I love her.
She is so cool, and you two together are amazing. Man.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. I try. So this is mine right here.
Yep.
Ooh, what was your first car?
1970 Pontiac GTO.
What?
Yep.
Really? What color was it?
Tan, goldish color.
Yeah.
Tan interior. My high school friend, Kenny Schwamborn, and I believe, still hold the record for the fastest trip on the back road between Ellinwood and Great Bend, Kansas.
Oh boy.
And Kenny was my ride or die when we were in high school together.
Growing up,
we were inseparable.
That's good, man. I like that.
So I had this GTO, and we decided to go the back way to Great Bend to go get pizza. And I just said, "What do you think? Should we time it out, see what we do?" He said, "Yeah." So he watched his watch, and we went. Probably spent the next 10 minutes an inch from death.
Yeah, probably.
But we didn't care.
Yeah,
we were 16 and stupid, and so we got there, and it was a 10-mile trip. 10-mile trip, and we made it in just over 5 minutes.
Oh wow, that's moving on dirt roads too, right?
No. It was a paved road.
Oh, it was a paved road. Okay.
Well, county road, not a state road.
Yeah.
So it was paved, but paved.
Yeah.
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 And made it not quite 5 minutes. license.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
My first car was a 1979 gold Trans Am.
Those were great.
Yep. And I remember I wanted it, so I was going to quit sports and get a job so I could get it. And my parents looked at me and they said, if you play sports, we will get you this car. Little did I know, once I graduate, they gave me the rest of the pay stubs. I still got it though. It's back on the farm on a trailer.
Yeah.
So one of these days I'm gonna fix it up. And
that GTO had been owned for like 2 months by a traveling salesman who figured out it was too much car for him.
yeah.
So they sold it as a used car, $1,100.
Oh wow.
And I had that much in a savings account. I had more than that in a savings account. So I paid cash for that car.
Why'd you get rid of it?
I decided to get something different to go to college.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that makes sense.
You know? Okay, this is mine.
Yes, sir.
All right. How are you able to love someone you don't agree with?
Well, that's an interesting question, right? One, I'm from a family of 8 kids, and we don't agree on anything, and I love them all. It's not about. I don't think it's about. It's about accepting their personality and their preferences and logic on life.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't accept that, well, nah. It's just all. Even like my ex-girlfriend, we were completely opposite in every way, shape, and form. Mm-hmm. And we had a decently long relationship, even though we disagreed on just about everything. So it's possible. You got to be a little bit more open-minded and understanding. Maybe understanding or over open-minded.
I think you have to look at the spirit of the person.
Yep.
That you're not agreeing with, and deciding if their overall personality is worthy of your love. It must be. You're spending time with them.
Yep.
My dad always had this saying, when he and I would disagree about something, he would always say, well, it's America and you have a right to be wrong. And that was just his way of kind of dismissing me. Yeah. While at the same time saying, we disagree on this. You're still cool. You're still my kid, but we just disagree. Yeah. Everybody has disagreements with the people they're closest with.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If it starts to get in the way of the love, well, then you need to have a conversation.
Yep.
Because then it's not just a disagreement about that one thing. It's going to something deeper.
Yeah, it's stuff getting bottled up, and it's hard.
Life's too short.
That's true. What were the 3 biggest turning points in your life?
3 biggest turning points in my life. When I played my first gig at 11 years old. I played. The people clapped. The pretty waitress gave me free Coca-Colas on the break. And I got money.
Yeah.
Okay. Adulation, beautiful women, and free nourishment. What was left? Okay. So the first big turning point was at 11. The next big turning point was probably moving to Los Angeles in 1980.
Okay, what'd you move down there for?
I was working in Kansas City. I was one of the busier musicians in Kansas City. I was teaching. I had a great life. I was married to my first wife, who's deceased. And everything was good, except in my mind, I knew that I had to find something out. I knew that Los Angeles and New York were the 2 biggest musical centers in the world at that point. And I just frankly needed to find out if I was good enough.
And you are.
And so we packed up our house and our cat, and we started driving to LA. We were in a hotel room in Salinas, Utah, when it came on the news that night that the Musicians Union in Los Angeles had gone on strike. So I was going to a place to start a career in a place that wasn't working.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. I also was not aware at that point that I was going to become a father.
Oh, wow.
And so I was thrust into one of the more challenging periods in my life, in that I was going someplace that didn't need another person who did what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to establish myself, trying to find work, and trying to establish a life for what was soon to become a family. I had to become very resourceful. I had to become very diverse in my skill set. And I learned a lot, and I spent a lot of time having to bolster myself up because I had just moved there, so I didn't have a big friend base there.
Yep.
So that was big. Third one, deciding that I wanted to leave a lot of that behind and invest myself exclusively in teaching, which is when I moved here.
Yep.
Because I'd been playing and writing and teaching and doing all that in Los Angeles, and I decided I wanted to spend the last part of my work years just teaching. And this job came up, and they made me a great offer, and so I came. And so making that shift was huge for me, and it was difficult. So those would be the three big ones for me.
All right. I like those. So mine was when my daughter was born. That was a big shift in my life.
Uh-huh.
Then when I actually started doing martial arts, like actually passionate about martial arts.
Uh-huh.
And then just this last year was a big shift point, realizing I want more for my life than being a roughneck. You know, like this, I got this podcast, I got a side business I'm trying to do. I'm applying for jobs around town.
Yep.
So let's just go from here.
That's great.
Yeah, it's scary. Terrified almost.
What do you think society owes its citizens?
Discipline. I think there's a very lack of discipline in this world. And that's why you got this kind of victim mentality when people don't get their way because they were never disciplined as a child. And that's why when I'm teaching my kid, when she does something wrong, I don't scold her, but I talk to her. I'm like, okay, now that you did this, you can't do this. And like, it's really hard for me because I only see my kid one weekend a month. Right. So I got to make sure my time is good. So, but when she does stuff, I have to bite the bullet, discipline her, and things like that. And I think society needs discipline.
Mm-hmm. I think society owes, discipline's a good one. You might have taken mine away from me without me even knowing it. I think society owes its citizens opportunities. It should be possible for you to attempt to do what you believe you want to do with your life in society, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral.
Yep.
I also think society owes it to you to take those opportunities away if you misuse them.
Oh yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that.
So I would say opportunity.
Opportunity? Well, the more disciplined you are, the more opportunity you have.
You make your own good luck.
Oh yeah. There's a quote. I don't consider myself lucky, but the more I trained and practiced, the luckier I became.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's about putting in work and good things happen. All right. Who had the most influence on you growing up?
I can only pick one person?
No, pick a couple.
Okay.
We got about another 20 minutes we can do on this before the file gets too big to
Okay.
put online.
Okay. Let's see. My school music teachers, Mr. Bonham and Mr. Ham. Mr. Ham started the group that I started playing gigs with when I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
He and I still talk regularly. They were big. A university teacher who I met when I was 14, who took a chance on me to get me to come to his school. And that was big. Because while I was there, I met some musicians from Los Angeles who gave me opportunities when I moved to Los Angeles. A gentleman named Dick Grove, who taught me a lot about how to write.
Mm-hmm. How to write music.
Yeah.
How to write music. Okay.
Yeah. And then a man named Evan Copley, who helped me realize that I might have been born to be a teacher,
There you go.
and that I really needed to get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you love teaching?
that's a mixed answer.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay. The students, I would walk through fire for my students,
Mm-hmm.
every one of them. And of course, as I'm getting ready to retire, I'm looking back, and what I realize is that you can ask me about a student from 40 plus years ago, and I can tell you a story about them, and it's generally a good story.
Yeah.
Because I think we owe that, that kind of dedication
Yeah.
to those kids. And that's great. And when I'm in the room with those students, I'm on fire.
Yeah.
I love it. I love every second of it, every day, even when they make me angry.
Yep.
Every other aspect of education, I absolutely loathe. I don't like the administrative part of it. I don't like the business part of
Mm-hmm.
it. I don't like the financial part of it. I don't like the infighting. I don't like the gamesmanship. So I just stay away from all those people.
Yeah, you just do your thing.
I walk in, I teach, I see my students, I leave.
Yeah. Actually, the thing about teaching, too, I think teaching should be one of the highest paid careers in America.
Well, good luck with that.
I know, it's not going to happen, but I really do. I really do think teaching should be the highest paid because you're literally putting your kids, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just education, but development, life development.
Yeah.
Because at the early stages of your lives, especially, probably till you hit 25, you're always growing, you're always learning,
That's right.
And
the brain is not fully formed in women until 25 and in men until after that.
that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah.
And so truly the frontal cortex is not all together
Yeah.
until that point. So, and they all come to school hopeful, a bit delusional, and so incredibly naive.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes it's really difficult to not laugh.
Yeah, I believe it.
But it can't be any funnier than trying to see me throw a head kick. Okay?
Maybe.
Okay. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
That-
What was that question? Who's the influence? The people that influenced me growing up were all the people that didn't like me. I grew up teachers badmouth. Like I had one teacher tell another teacher that kid will grow up to be nothing. And another student heard that, and my parents found out. Parents didn't want their kids hanging out with me. Like I had such a bad rep growing up, and it was really, really quite odd because I was actually pretty good. I had a mouth, for sure, but I was still a pretty good kid. At least I think I was, but
Right.
yeah. So all those people that thought I was just going to grow up to be some loser that just didn't make anything of his life, those even today, the people that put a negative vibe towards me, that's my motivation. Like I'd rather show people that I'm winning than I'd rather have the people that don't like me, I would rather show them that I'm winning than all the people that want me to succeed.
Mhm.
They already know it.
Right.
So I don't even have to worry about them. But the people, I got to prove to all these people that I am a winner and I am going to do this and I am going to have a great life. So yeah, the negative people, that's who influences me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What have you done in the last 6 months that you're most proud of?
Man, everything. This podcast, I started bringing more people on the podcast instead of me doing a solo podcast. Learning about a home business, finances, how to do book work. I'm applying for my FFL, which is a federal firearms license, which I'm talking to the city. And one big thing I'm proud of is learning from the experts. Like I was in a relationship and I talked to friends about how to make my relationship better, but they had bad relationships too, or single. So why was I talking to people that don't know anything? So, and then like with the business and stuff like this, I can't talk to somebody that doesn't have a business, how to start a business. So I went to books and I went to YouTube and podcasts instead of getting a biased point of view. I went to sources that show me that everything's common. Everything happens to everybody. I'm not a special story. There's so much knowledge in books and stuff like that. Like that's where I learned from. I think that was probably the best thing I learned in the last 6 months is getting information from the experts.
Why would you ask a chef about how to do brake work?
Exactly, right?
I mean, that's the rationale there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
but everybody does it. Everybody goes to their friends for advice, and their friends don't really have the advice because they're not experts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I want to go into drag racing, and my friend said I should get a Prius. There's a disconnect here.
Yep.
What's the thing I'm proudest of in the last 6 months?
You can even go, what's the last thing you're proud of that you figured out? It doesn't have to be 6 months.
Wow. What is the last thing I'm proud of? The decision to jump headlong into this final third of my life.
Yeah.
Because if I want to tell the truth, I'm a little bit fearful.
What do you mean by fearful?
My days and my time have been so structured for my entire life. And now that entire structure is going to be gone.
It's just going to be open meadow.
All right. And I've heard good stories and I've heard horror stories about how people handle that.
Yeah.
I know there are things I want to do. But that's a lot of time to fill up.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm going to have to really work with the flexibility that I talked about earlier to be able to find what the new thing is. It'll be the biggest life shift I've ever made. From being busy day and night. I don't know how to not keep going.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden having nothing to go to.
Take up skateboarding.
No, I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll do my own podcast.
You should. I think everybody should do a podcast. It's better than posting pictures and putting words down. At least you can hear people's emotions and their thought process and how they stutter and how they make mistakes. That's what I like about it.
And who wants to see some of those pictures? Some of the pictures they post.
Yeah, it's just.
No, that's a bad decision.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, it took me a while, but I realized one of my biggest distractions was Instagram. So, and I followed like 1,300 profiles, so there's always something to scroll into.
Oh yeah.
And the other day, so every month I took the time and I scrolled through and basically unfollowed everything that doesn't inspire me. So going from 1,300 plus accounts I follow, I'm like at 161 counts. Like Instagram is strictly for inspiration only for me.
Well, I'm on Facebook for the politics. Actually, I'm on Facebook because I'm old, and everybody who's my age is still on Facebook, and I do get a big kick out of listening to them scream at each other.
Oh, it's crazy.
I have 2 rules on my Facebook page: no religion, no politics. As long as I keep those out, everything seems to be cool. I tell jokes. I tell people what's an update on my life.
Yeah.
The problem with social media is that it makes us all look better than what we are and what we're living.
Yeah, it's a structure designed to envy other things.
Exactly. And envy is not always a healthy thing.
Nope. It's actually envy and jealousy they're very, very close, I think. 2
of the 7 deadly sins, I think.
Oh yeah. I think you're right.
And so in fact, I've always thought about writing like a symphonic composition based on the 7 deadly sins, like a 7, sloth and greed and
gluttony.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I'll do when I first become retired. Actually, what I'm going to do the first day of fall semester next year is I'm going to take a picture of myself in a floaty in my pool at my house and say, "Hi guys, have a great year."
Yeah, I'll like it. That's like that. Well, that's an hour. Well, Alan, thank you for coming on the podcast. I definitely appreciate it. Couldn't be more happy.
It was a pleasure, man.
Oh, so yes,
see you guys.
Stay bold.
Exactly.